beautiful soul. My name is Mara, and I welcome you to today's reading. We are going to be looking at what you should focus on in your shadow work, and this is the reading that won in the poll that I put out. So thank you to everybody that voted, and stay tuned for more polls. I post them once a month. So I've got 3 different crystals for you guys to choose from, and as we go through the reading selection, I will be playing a sound for those of you that like to choose your reading clairaudiently. So let's go ahead and jump into the reading selection. All right, if you need more time, you can go down to the description box and hit the reading selection timestamp. We are going to begin with reading number 1, but all 3 readings will be timestamped in the description box as well. If you're interested in purchasing or learning more about the decks that I'm using in today's video or on my channel, you can find links to those, as well as a link to the playlist of my free tarot course. So if you're interested in learning how to read tarot from me, then definitely check that out. So go ahead and find your reading timestamp, and I'll see you there. Hello, group number 1. Welcome to your reading. Before we get started, I want to say that if you are not in a safe space, mentally, physically, whatever, to receive these messages, to hear about shadow work, to hear about maybe things that you've been through that feel traumatic, then maybe save this video for later or don't watch it. That's totally fine. You don't have to watch this right now. Just make sure that your mental health comes first. So with that being said, let's go ahead and jump into what you should be focusing on within your shadow work. All right. For group number 1, Spirit, what should they be focusing on in their shadow work? Okay, so we've got 3 cards here. I'm going to do it one by one. You are enough. You do not have to give more. And I'm leaving it silent there because I really want that to sink in for you. I feel like that's something that maybe you need to write down and really read over and over again, and really let that sink in, that you do not have to give more. I'm getting this feeling of maybe you were somebody like as a child that really had to explain, or rather over explain, reasoning for everything. Like your parents, your guardians, or maybe the people around you never trusted you to just be. And whatever answer you came up with wasn't enough. And you had to be somebody that was explaining and reiterating and giving immense reason to the simplest of things. And so that has created this sense of like needing to prove things, needing to feel defensive, needing to overgive, overshare. And I want to be clear, it's not bad to overshare. It depends on who you're around. But what I'm saying here is that it feels like you were trained within, your younger brain to be somebody that feels like they always have to do the most. And I just feel like right now in your life, you're kind of burning out from that. It's become too much. And so right now within your shadow work, it would be a good time to address the younger version of you that was put in those positions of having to over explain, having to prove themselves, having to go the extra mile. Maybe you were the oldest sibling and you had to take care of everybody. Um, you are enough as you are, and you don't have to step outside of that and make yourself bigger or explain it more for you to be interesting, for you to be valid, for you to be whole. There's so much worth. There's so much worth within you. And to have been forced to perceive yourself any differently um, is a complete disservice to your soul. And so now it's about recognizing, okay, it was this way, but now it's this way. How can I bridge the two? How can I connect the two and give myself permission to experience something that feels better? Okay, so let's use some tarot to kind of tap into this a little bit before we move on to to the other oracles. Okay, this does feel very deep in your subconscious. It's something that makes you feel powerless. Like this is something because of the instability in your home life. It feels very much like, excuse me, it feels very much like you, unless you were explaining, reasoning, maybe overextending help, people pleasing, unless you were doing those things, then things were not stable, things were not safe. And so there's this hypervigilance that lives within you that may be hard to tap into because a lot of it is subconscious, and maybe you haven't really taken the time to explore those things. And so there's layers there. There's multiple layers. And so it's not just like one and done, okay, I don't have to explain myself anymore. I get that, and we're done. It's deep work, and prepare for those obstacles to exist because this comes from years of instability, of not feeling safe. Excuse me, I'm so sorry. Um, and so recognize that it's going to take some time, but within that, that was practiced. It wasn't you willingly practicing it. It was not something that you wanted to do, but it was practiced. And so moving forward, know that you can practice yourself out of that. You can practice new belief systems. And I definitely see that here with the Seven of Pentacles. I feel like you're exactly where you need to be right now. And if you just keep persisting forward, keep looking at what is emotionally fulfilling for you, not what is emotionally safe for you, um, then you're going to find a lot of progress happening. Okay. Let's go ahead and jump into the next oracle. So we've got seek guidance in this. It is time for a different perspective. So I feel like this is most likely about going to therapy. It could be about seeking some kind of spiritual guide, or maybe even partaking in plant medicine. I definitely feel like there's something to be said about that, where you may gain a lot of insight from working with plants. And that's not like, I mean, if you're just perceiving like smoking weed, for instance, it's so much more than that. Plant spirit medicine is so big, and that may be something that you will gain from. Um, but I definitely feel like whatever whatever it is, you have a support system or somebody that could really uplift you and aid you to give you a different perspective. This is definitely a time for you to change the narrative for yourself. Um, so, again, I see this like rebirth moment where you're coming out of hypervigilance into that rest and digest moment. And that takes a pretty significant belief system change. So you are going to need some kind of encouragement in all of that. Um, Different perspectives. I mean, sometimes they happen through epiphanies, but for the most part, it comes through hard work. And and shifting that on your own is absolutely possible, but I definitely feel like there's some kind of aid, especially with the seek the guidance in this, um, that you can really gain from. Okay. Okay, so I do see a lot of resistance towards that. It almost feels like, uh, okay. Okay, so you have some pretty significant trust issues when it comes to letting other people into your business, into your deep dark, scary feelings, and that's valid. That's totally okay, and I think that that comes from that really unstable home life. But I'm seeing that it's really a time to change that, and I see that even more here with the Four of Wands on the bottom of the deck. I definitely feel like you do have it's safe. It is safe for you to receive help. Um, but if you are in a state where you feel like bad, 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 the world is bad, people only have ulterior motives, everything is going to be turned against me, or you feel like in order to receive help, you have to explain, and reason why you feel these awful, awful things, then it can feel overwhelming to the point where you just shut down and you're like, okay, I'm going to deal with it later. And so this is going to be a moment in your shadow work where you change that narrative, where you actually start to do the work and you seek guidance, you seek help outside of yourself because you are carrying and perpetuating this narrative that things are difficult, that things are heavy, and that things are dangerous, that people are difficult, dangerous, and heavy. And that is not serving you. And again, it is so valid that you feel that way, that you've had circumstances to lead up to that. But now it's about taking responsibility for what you do have and saying, it is what it is. I can't change the past, but I can change my perspectives and I can change what's happening now, and what's happening in the future. So you are safe to invite people in to help you. There are definitely people that want to help you to find a better home life, a better, relationship with yourself, a better relationship with your partner, with everything, because trauma truly does affect everything in your life, not just, your own mental health. So you have what it takes to open up and let other people in, but it's just a matter of saying and recognizing this is a big, scary thought that I have practiced for a really long time, and I am ready to let it go. And you don't have to do it all at once. You don't have to push yourself so far outside of your comfort zone that you suck all the way back in. But do baby steps and continue to push yourself uh, in the direction of opening up. Okay. All right. So, last oracle, we've got pull yourself close. Every part of your being is deserving of love. Lots of inner child healing. I mean, when you grow up like that, and when you have belief systems that tell you you can't open up, um, it does create a lot of beliefs centered around that you're not enough, that you're not deserving of love, that you're not this, that you're not that, that that it's not for you. Like, and that can be so isolating, so isolating. So in your shadow work, it's time for you to pull yourself close. It's time to embrace yourself. It's time to look at your younger self and say, you did not receive what a child was supposed to receive in terms of love, affection, stability, so on and so forth. And look at yourself now in the mirror and say, you are not receiving what you need in terms of love, affection, stability, so on and so forth, and say, I'm going to make the decision to pull you close energetically, physically, emotionally, and I'm going to love you. And I am going to love you. So when you do that, I definitely feel like there's going to be some resistance that comes up. If you have some really hard barriers around self-love, then that's going to feel really uncomfortable for you. So again, do not push yourself so far outside of your comfort zone that it feels ridiculous to you. You want to take baby steps. Start by looking in the mirror, and if you can't look in the mirror and say I love you, then start by saying I am looking at myself and I'm thinking about potentially maybe kind of addressing the fact that I do want to love myself. Like literally, start as far back as you need to and slowly work your way forward to the point where you're like, yes, I do love myself. I am proud of myself. I am enough. I don't have to overgive. I don't have to overshare. I don't have to over explain anything. I am not alone in this. I can love myself and I can work through hard things and I can trust the people that want to assist me. The world isn't a crushing, hard place to live in, and so on. Mm. It's gonna feel like you're tearing the walls down. It's gonna feel intense. I feel like you have set yourself up mentally to believe in such a intense set of beliefs and systems that it's going to feel like you are deconstructing most everything in your life. Like it's going to feel big and for good reason, because it's bringing you to a better and more fluid and emotionally healthy time in your life. So it's going to be a hard decision to do all of this. It is going to be hard work. It is going to feel like you're deconstructing, you're breaking down the walls, you're moving big things, and you are going to have to rebuild. But in that rebuilding process, I see so much support from the universe, so much love from your guides, so much love from the people around you. And yes, it is a solo journey, but that doesn't mean that you will be alone the whole time. And I also see, I want to say, more peace of mind when you go through this journey. You, on the other side of this chaos, is peace. It's emotional fulfillment, it's emotional reward, it's emotional recognition oh my god, you know what I'm saying. And it's emotional stability, so you'll be able to regulate your emotions on a regular basis. I know you can't see it. I know that it's hard to like perceive that level of like emotional clarity, and you're feeling like, well, I don't have what it takes, or I don't have the tools available to me. um it's okay. You do not have to jump forward all the way to this. Just focus on making that clear decision for yourself. start with this and let yourself move forward. I feel like these came out in this order so that you can recognize that you don't have to do all of it. You can take these steps. So start with recognizing that you're enough, do the work surrounding that, and then you go into receiving assistance, that you ask for help in all of this. And then after the fact, you'll be in a place where you trust yourself enough to be able to do that self love moment. This is a painful experience, and I'm not going to lie to you. I definitely see this being hard, but it's so worth it. And if you take it little step by little step, then it will be easy within reason. And I do want to share that on the bottom of this deck here is let go of the past. It is time to envision a new story. So, all right. You are shifting perspectives. You are doing big work. And within your shadow work, you now have 3 clear steps on what to focus on, how to do some healing. And I hope that this really brings you a lot of health, a lot of mental health, a lot of physical health, that it improves your relationships, that it improves your quality of life, because you are worthy of living a life that feels good for you. So I love you all so, so much. And if you found this reading to be helpful and insightful, and you like the way that I read, then please consider giving this video a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. I do post a weekly pick a card reading. And if you did vote on today's reading, then thank you so much for voting and putting your thoughts into my creativity, my content. Thank you. I appreciate you so much. I love you all. You're so worthy and you're amazing. Blessed be. Hello, group number 2. Welcome to your reading. Before we get started, I just want to say that if you are not in a space where you feel mentally safe or physically safe to receive these messages, to talk about hard things and maybe traumatic things, maybe things that make you feel triggered, then please save this video for a time that you are feeling safe, or don't watch it at all. It's totally okay for you to give yourself permission to do what feels right for you right now. So with that being said, let's go ahead and jump into what you should be focusing on in your shadow work. All right. So for group number 2, Spirit, what should they be focusing on in their shadow work? Okay, so we're going to do these one by one. You've got 3 oracles coming out. So we've got go on an adventure. Today is the day to try something daring. I'm getting this vision of sorts of somebody that is stuck inside, somebody that doesn't like to go out, somebody that doesn't really trust the world to support them, somebody that feels perceived every time they step outside the door. It's feeling very, very much like hermit mode, but to the point where it's limiting your ability to enjoy your life. And so this feels like you coming outside of your comfort zone, and specifically in your shadow work, addressing what happened to make you be so shut in. What happened to make you shrink yourself so that you're not being perceived in big ways? And what went down to make you feel like you're not worthy or safe to be existing in more than just, the safety of your little bubble. So let's use some tarot to explore this. I want to clarify this. Okay. I feel like you used to be somebody that was very, very outgoing, somebody that really like to put yourself out there. You like to be perceived. You like to be the center of attention. Maybe even like do theater, maybe do something that really put yourself out there. Um, and as you've gotten older, it's almost like you retreated into a space in your brain that created safety. Not excitement, but it created safety. And that may have been something that you were physically lacking when you were still putting yourself out there and all those things. Because it was daring, but did it feel safe for you? Did you feel regulated, emotionally regulated? And I feel like for you, it was kind of this experience of the older that you get, the more anxious that you got, the more afraid that you got, the more shut in and introverted that you've gotten, and that's because you've been working on overload. That outgoing nature, that uh, confidence that you were exuding was coming from a place of dysregulated emotions and um oh goodness, the term just completely left my brain. Mm. I just feel like it came from this place that wasn't false, but it was fight or flight. What a crazy thing to leave my brain. But it was coming from a place of fight or flight, like where you were running on adrenaline, you were running on intensity all the time. And the older that you've gotten, the less that that's attainable. And so moving forward, your adventures, your adventurous side to yourself, that really excited to play version of yourself does still exist, but it needs to feel safe. And so in your in your childhood, but in your shadow work, you're going to want to look at your childhood and why you felt the need to exert energy to impress, to make yourself seen. Was that the only way you were able to seen, by throwing big tantrums, by being very theatrical, by doing all those things, or was it something else? And just explore those things and give yourself permission to turn the wheel back and look at what all was happening then, what was causing you to create these belief systems. And I do feel like it's going to come pretty easily to you, and you may have already done some work on this. With this Two of Swords being in reverse, I just kind of feel like this isn't going to be the hardest thing that you address, but you may not have all of the tools. You may have not had all the tools, and now you're at a position in your life within your brain that is ready for you to address these things. Okay. And this will be giving you a sense of wholeness. This will be closing out some cycles, and I definitely feel like, and I don't want this to like freak you out, but I definitely feel like you're about to change your personality a lot and start being that really outgoing, creative, like fun loving, outdoorsy kind of person that does like to go on adventures, that does like to try daring things. Okay. So the next one is be still. Cultivate a space of stillness and silence to just be. This is an interesting counterpart to this energy here. And I feel like there is a sense of like acceptedness within, you know, your ability to relax. So that hypervigilance that comes from like overexerting and being very intense may have sent you all the way to this place of feeling like you need to rest, but then judging yourself every time you do rest. And so when you're not going on adventures, when you're not putting yourself out there and being like mingling with people and doing all the things, it's okay. It's okay to just be. It's okay to just relax, sit on the couch, and do nothing. Um, One of my my best friend, she mentioned to me one time, because I also struggle with this. She mentioned to me one time, and she was like, Mara, why do you feel like your parents are always gonna bust in the door and catch you for not being productive? Um, and I feel like that might be something that you need to address within your own shadow work, where it's like, you are not going to be busted. You're not going to get in trouble for just existing, for being still, for relaxing. It's okay for you to have that space of comfort and relaxation. It's okay to pour back into your cup by doing absolutely nothing, or doing something that doesn't really like have a sense of urgency, or doing something that doesn't have an end goal. That's a really important way, or a big way for you to work on that, like, I need to be productive all the time mindset. So yeah, let's dive into some tarot. So this one feels a little bit more hard, or sad rather, to work through, because it almost feels like you're grieving an experience that you never got. Like, you're grieving a childhood or a parenting style that you never received. And that can be a pretty lengthy process, and it can bring up some back and forth motion of like, I'm doing the work, I'm really angry, I'm really upset, I'm feeling this way, I'm acknowledging these feelings, and then it can turn very quickly into, hell no, I'm not doing that. That wasn't my experience. I had a really good childhood. It feels very complex, and like you're switching back and forth pretty quickly. So the goal here is to not move quickly, to be still in the stillness. You don't have to jump into this type of shadow work and say, I'm going to solve it all at once or within a month. This feels like a healing process that is going to take time, and for good reason, because you're building a lot of stability. This is you really working towards what you want ultimately, which is peace of mind, which is the ability to relax and get into that rest and digest stage without it being a fight to get to that point. Um, so take your time. Don't rush through things. I do see a little bit of a tendency to rush and maybe be hard on yourself in the process. So just take your time. This is a process that is going to take time. So give yourself that time. All right. So lastly, let's take a look at the last oracle you got. You deserve to be seen. Let yourself be known. And I'm just going to sit in silence for a second so you can let this sink in. Yeah. You deserve to be seen. Let yourself be known. And I kind of feel like this ties into this first moment that we're talking about, where it's like you may not fully trust the world to hold you. You may not trust yourself to be perceived, to be known. Maybe you don't feel worthy. Maybe it's just too scary. Maybe you just lack the groundedness. And that's definitely for you to explore and figure out. But I am seeing that this is a need to create that sense of stability for yourself, to create that sense of love and tenderness and compassion. Look how beautiful this card is. Like, you are beautiful, and your life can feel and look this magical, beautiful, cutesy. but you have to give yourself permission to believe these things or to do the work to believe these things. And actually, before I clarify this, I want to read the bottom of this deck. Let it come forth. Give yourself permission to feel it. Okay? You have to give yourself permission to feel all of these things and to experience these things. It's not going to come just because you look at a traumatic event and you process it. You have to feel it. Okay. Just start where you are. You don't have to pretend. Okay. First and foremost, you do not have to fake it till you make it. That is pretty toxic when it comes to trauma processing. That idea, that concept, fake it till you make it, does work in some areas in life, but for somebody that's addressing trauma, that's addressing core belief systems, that does not work. And you need to let go of that toxic positivity and anybody that's telling you that you need to do that in order to succeed, because that's really going to limit you in your actual progress. And so you need to start where you're at. You need to use what's currently available to you to get the ball rolling, to get the momentum going in the direction that you want it. You don't have to, picture yourself where you're going to be in 10 years and exist in that. That will just cause you to feel discouraged. It'll cause you to think you're not doing enough, and so on and so forth. So this is not about creating a sense of, you know, false self-assured energy. It's about you really being honest about the sense of leadership that you can give yourself. Where are you and where can you realistically be right now? And not forcing yourself to be anything beyond that. Again, you do not have to be overly productive to be successful. Resting, being still, that is still proactive. That is still something that is getting you to where you want to go, if you're giving yourself permission to be in it fully and not judge yourself again, and not, force yourself to feel like you're not doing enough in the process of it. And I do see that there are going to be some people in your life that, maybe don't support you fully, and it's going to be hard for you to, or it could be hard for you to navigate your way through those relationships. Some people just, they don't have to know everything. You don't have to explain, what it is that you're going through, why you're going through it, why you don't want to hang out with them, why you do want to start hanging out. If people are questioning things like that, they need to go, honestly. But I also see with this card that there is a little bit of an internal war going on. Like, you want to move forward, but then you're looking back, and then you want to be here, but then you're really here. And if you do this, then what is it going to look like here? Relax. You don't have to have all of the answers. You're allowed to be still with where you're at right now and let that be enough. Let it be enough. All of that inner chaos is just going to cause you to feel stuck and like you're, again, not doing enough. And I do see 2 pages on the bottom of the deck. So just recognize that, yes, you may be fully conscious of all of this, but that doesn't mean that you are fully practiced in it. And so getting frustrated with yourself for not having all the answers, for not, making it all work immediately, is not productive. You're just in the beginning stage. You're in the beginning stage of this really hard work. I mean, yeah, I mean, if you know how to read tarot, then look at this. I mean, there's a lot of emotional work you're doing. There's a lot of inner child work that you're doing, and it's getting you to where you want to go. But you have to start somewhere. You have to give yourself permission to be okay with where you're at right now. Okay. So for you, group number 2, within your shadow work, you've got some pretty clear steps in which to take, some clear topics to address. You may want to do some journaling. You may want to do some somatic movement. You may want to talk to your therapist. However you do your shadow work, this is where you want to be. So first and foremost, letting yourself be perceived, letting yourself be seen, really putting yourself out there, going on adventures, not limiting yourself. It's okay to co-create. You are safe in all of that. And putting yourself out there doesn't equal scare. It doesn't equal scariness. um, and you've also got this message of being still, doing the work to understand that stillness, be doing the work to feel okay and not being productive all the time, and know that you're not going to get in trouble for that. And I do want to reiterate that you do need to give yourself permission to feel this stuff, to feel it. Okay. So if you found this reading to be helpful and insightful and you like the way that I read, then please consider giving this video a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. I do post a weekly pick a card reading if you're interested. And if you did vote on today's reading, then thank you so much for putting your input into my content. I appreciate you so much. I love you all so much. You're so worthy and you're amazing. Blessed be. Hello, group number 3. Welcome to your reading. Before we get started, I want to say that if you're not feeling in a space where you are safe mentally or physically, then please save this video for later. We will be discussing topics like trauma and things that you may find triggering. So if you went into this feeling like you could and you're changing your mind right now, that's totally fine. Give yourself permission to change your mind. So, okay, with that being said, if you do want to stay for this reading, let's go ahead and jump into what you need to focus on in your shadow work. So for group number 3, Spirit, what do they need to focus on in their shadow work? Okay, so we've got 3 things coming out. I'll get them in order. We're going to do these one by one. So we've got first coming out, you can do hard things. It is not as impossible as it may feel. Okay. I really like how serene and just kind of dreamy this feels, because I feel like there's a certain sense of comfort and relaxation, rejuvenation, like those kinds of feelings that you're going to be receiving through doing shadow work surrounding your achievements, surrounding your ability to achieve, your ability to feel successful, your ability to get things done or to do the hard things in life. I just feel like there's a lot of pressure maybe that you're feeling to do things, and maybe you're in a very transformative time in your life where it's not really fully stable yet, and you're not clear on how to navigate it all. And through exploring the new belief systems that you're adopting, through exploring the old ones that you're letting go of and why, then I feel like there's a sense of relief that comes through doing the hard work. And so it's kind of a mixture between being in this transformative time and kind of exploring and doing the hard work surrounding your belief systems. But I also feel like you are somebody that has had to be hyper successful in order to feel good. And so maybe you're at a point now in your life where you don't really want to do anything. You're feeling very uninspired. You don't want to do anything hard, that the hard things feel overwhelming. And that is because you pushed yourself too hard, or you were pushed too hard. And so this is about creating a sense of healing in that way. Let's go ahead and explore this with some shadow herbs, with some shadow work, yes, but with some tarot. Okay, so lots of opinions, lots of people in your life, lots of personalities. There's a lot going on here. You've got two knights, two queens, and oh my goodness, a knight under there, a king under there. Goodness. Okay, so this is all about people in your life. And this is about you living how you want to live, and not how each of these people or each of these versions of yourself have lived. Like, you're allowed to mesh it all together and find one happy balance. You're allowed to be who you are and not adapt to shape yourself into what somebody wants, into what somebody perceives you as. There's a lot to do here with nurturing yourself, creating a structured plan, and really giving yourself permission to actually act on what you want. You need to be emotional about it, and you also need to be very intellectual about it. But with that being said, if you are in a place where you are not feeling safe emotionally, where you're not in a space where you feel like your ideas, your thoughts matter, then these two strategies are not going to get you anywhere. So you're going to have to really nurture yourself. You're going to have to be like, enough is enough. I can do the hard work. I can do the hard things. I can find that strategy from a place of doing nothing first. And I know that that may sound counterintuitive to you, but I definitely feel like as long as you're feeling like everything is insurmountable, you're in a place of dysregulated emotion. And so exploring your emotions, exploring how you feel about success, how you feel about achievement, exploring your beliefs around those things, around those topics, and around shifting to match the energy of the room. Ultimately, it boils down to safety. Ultimately, it boils down to, how do I feel safe? When do I feel safe? What does safety mean to me? And so on and so forth. Because if you're not feeling safe, none of this matters. Okay, so I guess that's where it really, that's where you really need to be working on your shadow work in this, is just to say, how can I feel safe in any circumstance? And of course, there are going to be things that are uncomfortable in life, but I'm talking like you feel dysregulated, you feel afraid, you feel shrank down to like nothing, or that you have to be overly intense in order to prove your worth. Like, there's a sense of fear, and there's a sense of danger that comes with doing anything, really. Sorry if that was loud. I bumped the tripod, but doing anything because you aren't practicing that sense of safety from within. So first, in your shadow work, you're going to want to focus on safety. And again, in that, you may want to, okay, I'm getting ahead of myself. You may want to create side categories of safety. How do you feel safe in your achievements? How do you feel safe in successes? How do you feel safe in relationships? How do you feel safe in, co-creative experiences or being perceived, situations where you're out and about? And then how do you feel perceived, or how do you feel safe in, the way that you talk to yourself? How do you feel safe in the way that you explore things and regulating your emotions and things like that? So there are layers to this, and I feel like that may be why it's feeling so insurmountable, and you're like, it's impossible, I can't do it. But it's not as impossible as it may feel. You can do the hard work. You absolutely can. Okay. Sorry, that was a little bit all over the place. It was like my guides were sending me like 12 different messages at the same time. Okay, so, but with that being said, let's move on. You've got go inward. It is time to connect with your inner child. Okay. So this actually feels very playful, and it does feel like some heavy work, obviously, but it also kind of feels like you sitting in your room playing with old stuffed animals that you have, like you coloring in a book without the goal of like making the page pretty. You going to a park, playing on the play structures, maybe going for a walk in the forest. I don't know, whatever you used to do as a child that really brought you a sense of like joy, that would be something that's really attainable in connecting with your inner child. But when it comes to like the heavy shadow work that would come along with that, go do the physical activity of playing, connecting with your inner child, and then come back and journal and write down how that made you feel. What experiences came up for you? What thought processes came up for you? What memories came up for you? And from there, how do you feel about those things that came up? Do you need to rewrite stories? Do you need to change your perspective on things? Do you need to explore something deeper? Do you need to give more acknowledgement to something that you went through that maybe you thought, oh, it wasn't that bad, but actually it was like really impactful? How can you give yourself that space to explore things that feel pretty big? And it may be that it's not that big to you as an adult, but it is big to you as an inner child. As your little child self, it was very big and it was very impactful. So exploring those things is something that's really going to help you. I think it was like that. Okay, it doesn't matter. So yeah, I feel like there's a lot of instability, and because of that, you are worrying, or you worried as a child a lot. There was a lot of anxiety, a lot of fear, and I don't think this is news to you. I'm pretty sure that you're somebody that's already been on this road of healing, and you're recognizing on a deeper level what it is that your trauma entailed, what it is that your unstable home life really brought you to. There was a lot of inconsistency, and you may have been the main person to blame in all of that. And so there's this heaviness that I feel like connecting with your inner child is going to give relief to. And I do say that here too. I feel like there's this sense of like play that's coming through. There's this sense of like connecting with your inner child in a fun, loving, happy and an uplifting way, where it's not this heavy to-do list of like these really big topics. Maybe you're not there yet, and that's okay. But there are some things that are unexplored that, as you connect with your inner child, will become available to you. And again, I do feel like you've been on this path for a while, and you're at the point where you're getting ready to reach a new destination, reach a new chapter in your life, and working through all of this baggage or this trauma is something that's going to make the next stage of your life so much more enjoyable. So you do want to give yourself the time and attention. You do want to give yourself that space of play and that space of exploring the harder topics. There can be a balance of both. Again, you may want to approach it in a more playful way and then come back and say, okay, how did that make me feel on a deeper level? Like, what is the space? Okay, I'm actually getting a very clear image of you playing with your inner child, doing that work, and then saying goodbye and coming home as your adult self and kind of exploring that, because those topics that you're going to be exploring, you may not feel comfortable bringing your child self into it. There may be a protectiveness there that you may not realize, where you do not want to invite your inner child into the hard work. You want to like preserve them, you want to protect them, and that's okay. Your relationship with your inner child is yours. It's just that, it's yours. Okay? All right. So, wow. Okay. We've got one more oracle that's listen, your inner child has something to say. Very interesting. So, out of all the readings, you have the most inner child work to be doing. Most shadow work does stem from childhood, but I definitely feel like yours is only about your inner child right now. Yeah, and I feel like there's this need through connecting with your inner child and exploring those things that you are going to hear and realize some pretty big things that maybe you have cut yourself off to, or maybe you haven't been receptive to because it's feeling insurmountable, it's feeling impossible, that you don't know how to work through those things. Maybe there's trauma there that you can feel in your body, but your brain hasn't quite given you permission to recognize it. Like, because your brain does do that. That's why people with very traumatic childhoods have blank spaces in their childhoods. They don't remember some things because their brain was protecting them, and it did a very good job of that. But now you're at a place where you're ready to remember, and that may feel very scary, that may feel very big and hard, but it's something that is coming to you now for a reason. Like, you are ready to do that. Yeah. You're meant to be doing something more passionate. You're meant to be choosing things because they feel good. And I feel like your inner child is trying to tell you that you've kind of lost that along the way, that you do practical things, that you do the more responsible thing, that you always choose the high road, that you're the one taking care of others, and it's time for you to be taken care of. It's time for you to involve yourself in passion. It's time for you to get over your fear of whatever letdowns you've had in the past, or whatever belief systems or people that told you, you don't have the space to explore things, and to actually start doing that for yourself. I feel like that's the main message here from your inner child, is to really get through your fears of choosing passion in your life, of choosing uplifting, good feeling things. And, we're humans. You're most likely an adult if you're watching this, and, you have adult responsibilities. There's no getting around that. But you can choose passion. You can be brave and say, hey, I'm going to live a life that feels more passionate to me, that feels more authentic to me, that feels more playful, that feels more good. There's just such a nice, playful energy that comes through with this card here that's denied, that it's not being lived up to. And it's probably because you feel like you need to be this very responsible, very wise, very practical leader in your own life and for other people. And you've had a lot of experiences to say, the second I step outside of that, shit goes to the fan because everybody relies on me. And so there's a lot of pressure weighing on you, and you may be a very big perfectionist or have a lot of control issues because you've been put in a position time and time again where you're the one leading the ship. And so now it's time for you to take a step back and say, I don't want to lead everybody around me. I don't want to be the leader. That's, directing the show. I don't want to do that anymore. I want to focus on what I want. I want to turn this energy right side up and choose the things that I'm passionate about. I want to be brave. I want to be courageous. I want to be adventurous. I want to do the hard things and feel confident about them and feel good about them because I'm interested in them, not because I feel like I have to do them. Okay? So a lot to unpack there, and I definitely feel like for you that you've got some pretty clear steps to take in your shadow work. It's revolving around your inner child work, and I definitely, okay, I want to say that on the bottom of the deck is, you know the way, trust your intuition on this journey, okay? You know the way, you know what to do, you know how to connect, you know what to do. This reading is merely just a confirmation for you, and it's just kind of reiterating or giving context to what you intuitively know. So trust yourself, listen to your inner child, connect with them how you can, how you see fit. You don't have to take the examples that I was setting. You can do what feels right for you, and know that you do not have to do things that don't feel aligned with you, but the things that are going to feel aligned with you are probably going to feel very hard at first, but you can do hard things, okay? You have so much worth, so much potential, so much beauty to experience in your life. And if you give yourself permission to connect, I definitely see it happening for you. So if you found this reading helpful and insightful and you like the way that I read, then please consider giving this video a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. I post a weekly pick a card reading. And yeah, I love you guys so much. I hope that you have the most beautiful time exploring your inner child and exploring these topics within your shadow work. It's going to be hard, but it's going to be worth it. You're amazing. Blessed be.